Our guest today is Dr. Deanna Brown Thomas. She is the daughter of the Godfather of Soul. We'll be discussing her upcoming A&E two-night event. James Brown, say it loud. Doctor, thank you for joining us today. Oh, it's our pleasure. We're so excited. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've heard so many great things about it that I look forward to talking with you on it. Your father influenced so many artists with his words, his songs, his styles, his moves. How great does it feel to see artists continue his legacy?
It is a great thing. I mean, you saw just Usher just on the Super Bowl the other night. A lot of those moves them from James Brown. And you see these artists doing this. He is still the most sampled artist in hip hop to this day. So it is great. I have a school, James Brown Academy of Music Pupils, where we teach kids music theory, and so there is a legacy there where you got good kids who this wasn't even born when he was alive, learning music based off of his music. So his music, his messages in his music also are very important. Something that you don't hear too much of today. You know, these positive messages. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Don't be a dropout. It's a man's world. Nothing without a woman or a girl. You know, you can't get to this earth no other way but by way of a woman. So these messages that we hear, we don't hear anymore to uplift people and to make them feel good about being who they are. So he left a lot of gems, not just the music so we can dance and enjoy it, but that we can learn from and pass it on.
Do you feel that it is the manufacturers of the music and not the artists that have taken away the messages, or do you feel that the artists are hesitant because of the business that they're more worried about doing things that without messages that won't get them in trouble like your dad did?
Right. It's probably a little of both. My father came up in a time when it was so important to get those messages out, and thank God that he did, because those messages will never be old, you know. But he always said, you know, artists got to believe in their music, and it has a lot to do with the manufacturing, like you said. I listened to a producer the other day on Instagram saying that they don't even take it to the bridge no more. Like, what you mean? You got a song and it doesn't go to the bridge? That's like core. That's like supposed to go to the bridge, but
Mhm.
some of these songs are being made that you don't go to the bridge no more. So that in itself to me cheats the listener, cheats the person who's trying to get into music. So yes, in that sense, yes, I don't think it's the artist at all. Most artists want their music like they want the person to hear their music like they put it out. But again, to what you said, if they feel as though what they're trying to do is not going to get the deal, then they're not going to do it. They're going to do what they need to do to get the record deal, which can be unfortunate.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say they shouldn't be censoring artists, and they should be allowing them to express themselves and discuss all the important issues. Because that was a great thing about your father, how he was able to get those messages out there and influence so many people. And at this time, it feels like they're not allowed to do that kind of thing.
Right. And also, too, you got to understand that that was civil rights movement was going on. And in the civil rights movement, music was very important. And I would like to see us go back to that, where the music was very important and played a role in moving forward, moving the nation forward, and moving a human race forward.
Exactly. And I can imagine, obviously, the bigger story is, his influence on the world, but the other story in his story is how he overcame his personal demons, how he overcame racial injustice, how he overcame career setbacks. Um, how, tell us a little bit about that aspect of his story.
Well, he was a human being, like us all, and we have flaws and faults, all of us, and he was no different. He had flaws and faults, and did things that he regret. And we saw those things as children growing up, and those things hurt. you see things in your parents that you wish you didn't see. But of course, he was in that life, where a lot of that stuff, a lot of the crazy things go on. Um, but I thank God that he was able to persevere, even through all of that. Um, Perfect man, and I would never say my father was a perfect man, but he was a man who persevered and he never gave up, even when he was in the wrong or in those situations. He didn't let it stop him. He didn't let it slow him down or discourage him. He did what he called a 2-year unwanted vacation in jail from 1988 to 1990. And he called it a 2-year unwanted vacation. But that may have been a time that he needed to just stop, look, just to get into James Brown and what God really wanted him to do, and really rest, not just his mind, not just his physical body, but his mind, his spirit, and his soul. So that 2-year unwanted vacation that he called it, may have been needed just so he could refocus and
Oh,
get back on the good foot.
definitely. With the as hardworking as he was, he probably needed the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, he didn't want it in that aspect of it, but yeah, because of how the industry had, influenced on him and just all the things that were going on, needing that time to refocus and to, like you said, get right with the Lord.
And get back on the good foot. You're absolutely right. And we all have to do that sometimes, just
Ex-
so that we can continue giving out what has been given to us to give out.
Exactly. Why was your father one of the most celebrated and influential artists of the 20th century?
Well, probably because he came from a real place. He came from a place that so many people could relate to. And he persevered. He didn't give up. And I mean, obviously that, because here it is, he's been gone 17 years and we're still talking about him. He is still respected in so many different ways. From a businessman, not just a musician, a band leader. He's respected in so many ways. He owns businesses in the '60s, like Sam's Club now. You can go in Sam's or Walmart. You can go in there, you can shop and eat. Well, he did that early in the '60s in Macon, Georgia. So his foresight, his being ahead of his time, and in doing these things from where he come from, makes him such an interesting and fascinating subject to continue talking about.
I understand that James Brown Say It Loud includes never before seen interviews and performances. I always love when things have that, because it always baffles me how they're able to find more out about such well-known artists like your father. Where were they able to obtain those lost gems?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when you got people behind you like Big Jagger Quest Love, they kind of like give you the help you get the resources so that you can dig and find these things. But I mean, it was just so many different ways, it's so much out there. So we asked, and we put it out on social media or internet for those fans, or that if you had anything, if that we could use. Also, the National Library of Congress having stuff. Old radio stations, different people, producers, just different people having, things that we could use. Not just never before, footage, audio, as well as stories, stories that some people have never heard before. Um, and it's amazing even to me. I don't know it all. I do not profess to be the James Brown expert here, but it's amazing how the more we find, the more we dig, the more we find.
We've been talking a lot about your father, and rightfully so. Uh, However, I think one thing that I would love to share with our listeners is how you're a philanthropist and how you give back in so many ways. The annual James Brown Turkey and Toy Giveaway, Feed the Hungry, and other ways. Please tell us about how our viewers can help such a great cause.
Thank you so very much for asking that. Being president of the James Brown Family Foundation, we created this because we knew how important it was for my father in terms of charitable giving. That was important to him. And so we continued the James Brown Turkey and Toy giveaway. And in that, we realized how important it was because education was important to him and music education. He talked about how, kids put an instrument in a child's hand, you'll change that child's life. And we've seen that through the James Brown Academy of Music pupils for the last 12 years. And we year-round program where we're teaching kids music, how to read music, how to play instruments. And so these are things that I learned from my dad. So if they want to Google James Brown Family Foundation, they'll be able to find us and see what we're doing. We're on Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, Instagram. And like I said, we have the school as well as James Brown Family Historical Tour. If anybody wanted to come down south, it's with James Brown Tour. We have a bus tour that takes you around Augusta and shows you where he grew up, where we lived, where he had businesses, and etc. And so just Google us and find what we're doing. It's what I've learned from my father that much is given, much is expected.
That is awesome. Well, Dr. Brown Thomas, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so very much for having us in. I hope James Brown say it loud on this Monday and Tuesday night.
Sounds great. I look forward to it. Thank you, ma'am. That was Dr. Deanna Brown Thomas. She is the daughter of the Godfather of Soul. She discussed with us the A&E two-night event, James Brown Say It Loud. And that was a heck of a great guest. Thank you for tuning in.